Turn up to this one. Worcester Bosch said their boiler's leaking. They noticed it when it came through the ceiling. When I get there you can see it pouring out, but there's still pressure in the system, which means it must be on the domestic side. Let's whip the case off and have a closer look. Well, you can hear it for a start. Now you got to play spot the squirt. And just like that you get squirted in the eye. So it's the flow manifold that needs replacing. I carry this as van stock, so let's get this replaced. Isolate the cold underneath, open a hot tap to take the pressure off. There's a part number if you need it. Those are the tools I'm going to use: pot of lube, small spanner, grips, flathead screwdriver, adjustable spanner, long handled Phillips, or a PZ2 if you're going to be technical. So we're going to undo the condense trap securing screw, which is a pain. Everything about the trap's a pain, to be honest with you. Just get it at the right angle and it discharge itself straight into the bucket, which is handy. Once it's drained, then remove it so it doesn't get water on the PCB. I'm going to remove the diverter valve, so it's a dry pocket. Just get the little cap out of the way and then pop it out with your fingers. This is for when you drain down. It'll basically drain the whole boiler because it frees up the both circuits. On these 30Is there's no vent at the top, so you'll find that it'll airlock quite a lot of water into the heat exchanger. So when you open the drain off, let the main pressure off, give that a bit of a wiggle, and then it'll come to a stop. So I crack the expansion vessel nut. And then that basically lets enough air in to push all the water out. That's a little top tip that stops you getting wet. So you're going to lift the clip up for the domestic hot water sensor, then going to disconnect the electrical plug. Going to use some grips to actually remove the sensor. Then I'm going to use the grips again to undo this little bayonet connection at the top, so you pinch it together and then turn it. And then another little top tip, put some blue roll down there. You'll see why later. Long handle PZ2, undo the securing screw there. Then we're going to crack the hot. That can be really stiff to undo, so I just use a flathead screwdriver and literally just lever it off. Twist it out of the way, give it a wiggle down once you pull the clip out. Careful not to catch your knuckles because it hurts. Then we're going to repeat the same thing with the flow, but sometimes it's a bit awkward to get it out, so you can just get the manifold out with the pipe in place, it doesn't really matter. I did give it a try, but I treasure my knuckles too much, I'm not going to force it. Pull the bypass securing clip out, it goes that way up. Long handle PZ2 again to undo the plate screw. And then you've got to unclip it off the left hand side once that screw's out the way. And now you've just got to wiggle it till it comes out. So you can lay it all out like this, so all your clips. And then the first thing I do is put the clips in like that. So you've got the two big ones and the one smaller one. Anywhere where there's a hole, make sure it's got plenty of lube in it. Try not to drop your pot of lube though. I put a little bit of lube on the back where the plate washers are going to be. It helps keep the washers in place because you don't want them dropping out. Then put a bit of lube on them as well, and then they just hold themselves in place. You got it. More lube on that little clip as well, so that one goes in the top where that little bayonet clip goes. That little rubber grommet goes that way around, fat side at the back. Then just replace all those washers. That's what the O-ring's for. One for the bypass, which is there, and then you've got one for the flow pipe, one for the domestic hot water. So use a little flathead just to pop the old fibre washers off. You need to make sure you get all of these off. Sometimes they break and then it leaves a little bit on. Make sure it's all off, otherwise it will leak. And then just pop that screw in there. They don't send that screw in the pack, so you've got to reuse the old one. And then just basically do the reverse of what you did before. Once you've got it on, the first thing I do is put the bypass clip back in, because that can be a bit awkward. It's easier to do it when you've got plenty of room on it. And then you're basically looking to line the plate up with the screw and hook the left hand clip over and then start that screw off as well. So it's basically looking like that. I'll put the little bayonet clip thing back on. That's in, that's done, and now we're going to tighten that one up first. Actually, I'll do the plate first. Remember, keep an eye out below to make sure none of those plate washers have come out, because it'll be a nightmare and you'll get wet. Always use new fibre washers, don't risk it for a biscuit. There's plenty of room for you to literally pop these in place where they are. That can be a little bit awkward, so you need to lever that up maybe. I am doing this one-handed while I'm holding the camera, mind. Always get it in place and then just use your fingers to start the thread off, and then give it a pinch out of a spanner once you're happy. You never want to be cross-threading these. Same again with the domestic hot water. Put the fibre washer on and then pop that into where it needs to go. That clip can be a bit stiff, so just use some grips to pop it out and then push that in. Lock it onto where it needs to be. Again, they can be a bit awkward, but just make sure they lock into place where they need to be. Push the clip in, finger tight, and then pinch out with a spanner. Domestic hot water sensor next. Clip up, plenty of lube, pop it in, shut the clip back down. Plug the electrical connection straight back on so that you don't forget. Then we're going to pop the diverter back in. Put the little hat back on. Then we're going to tighten this expansion vessel nut up, otherwise we're going to get wet because we'll have forgotten. Once everything's tight on the boiler, we're going to shut the hot tap back off. And we're going to open the cold underneath and we're going to check for leaks. Looks okay so far. I'll just flip that down and have a look. Yeah, all looks dry, that's good. And now we're going to top the pressure up. I sped this up because it took way too long to do it normally. Now it's up to pressure, we're going to check for leaks. We're all dry, that's good. So we're going to get a condense trap back in, we're going to tighten the screw back up. We're going to put the black hose on the bottom. So again, that's what we changed, the flow manifold. They're the tools that I used. You might want to screenshot it or save it to favourites to upgrade your tool bag. You can see there where the plastic has just pinholed and was spraying out. I'm going to go open the hot tap. You'll get the air out, but you may as well get it out, save drenching the customer. They'll definitely appreciate you for it. So now we're going to flick the power back on. The boiler was turned off when I got here, but we got power to it. That's always a good sign, at least it hasn't blown anything. Let it go for its cycle, then I'm going to put it in test mode. This can take a while to wait for the boiler to come round. Right, blue light means that it's picked up the demand, it's about to start firing. Green light means go. Little flame there. Carry out 26 nines, put the case back on. That's another one done. Happy days.